We all know being a police officer is a difficult and dangerous job. It's also one that requires integrity and honesty. Tonight, a very disturbing video with two very different stories about what this video shows. Take a look. You're looking at police dash cam video, a traffic stop of 57-year-old Floyd Dent, who is driving his Cadillac in the city of Inkster. When he's pulled over by police, he opens his car door. The situation immediately escalates and then turns violent. According to police reports and court testimony, Inkster police officer Melendez puts Dent in a chokehold and then delivers 16 blows to his head. A second officer, Zielinszewski, struggles to handcuff Dent. A third officer, Kritzers, runs up and tasers Dent 3 times, twice in the stomach, once in the leg. Several Michigan State police officers respond as backup and are also on scene. Police say they were protecting themselves. Dent says he doesn't know why he was pulled over or why he was viciously beaten.
Next thing I know, officer brought up to me with his gun, you know, talking about blowing my head off. Then he grabbed me out the car, you know, and started beating on me. You know, I just couldn't believe it.
Police say they first saw Dent's car through binoculars. They were watching an area known for drug dealing. They followed Dent's car and say he did not properly stop at a stop sign. They say when they turned on their overhead lights, Dent did not pull over immediately, and they believed he was fleeing the officers.
When overhead lights came on, I looked. I said, wow, are they stopping me?
Dent says he did not try and flee, and the video shows he drove at a consistent speed until pulling over across the street from the old police station.
I had pulled over and opened my car door and had my hands out.
When the car door opened, the police say they ordered Dent to put his hands up, but they could only see one of his hands. They say Dent yelled at the officers, "I'll kill you." The officers' microphones were either turned off or not working. There is no audio of the alleged threat. Greg Roll is Dent's attorney.
That you have 6 responding vehicles and not one officer is equipped with a microphone to take down this alleged threat.
On the ground, police say Dent refused to put his hands behind his back. Dent said he thought he was being choked to death and tried to pull the officer's arm from his throat. The officer says Dent bit him on the arm, and that's why he started punching. They say the 16 blows to the head, a kick to the arm, and 3 taser blasts were necessary to protect themselves while restraining Dent. The officer, who says he was bit, did not seek medical attention or photograph his injuries.
I'm lucky to be living, you know, because I think they were trying to kill me, especially when they had choked me, you know. Man, I was on my last breath. I had told the officer, please, I can't breathe.
Dent was not armed and no gun was found in his car. After the arrest, police discovered Dent was driving on a suspended license. They also say they found a baggie of crack cocaine under the passenger seat.
They planted that stuff in my car, believe me.
Dent has been working for Ford Motor Company for 37 years and has no criminal record. He had his blood tested at the hospital and had no drugs in his system. Officer Melendez, the one seen throwing the punches, is the same officer who, when working as a Detroit police officer in 2003, was charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office with planting evidence and falsifying reports. A jury found Officer Melendez not guilty.
I worked for mine. You know, I've been in my job 37 years, you know, so, you know, I don't have to sell drugs, you know, I don't sell drugs, you know, and don't do drugs.
Floyd Dent is African American. His attorney says the 3 officers who made physical contact with Dent and 7 more who arrived as backup are all white, and that concerns him.
In this type of climate, it's just remarkable that things of this still go on. It's amazing. It amazes me. And it's shocking and disturbing.
A judge looked at the video and dismissed multiple charges, saying there is no evidence that Dent was fleeing and eluding police officers, no evidence that Dent was resisting arrest, and no evidence that Dent assaulted any police officers. Inkster police launched an investigation immediately and asked the Michigan State Police to investigate as well. Officer Melendez is off the street working a desk job pending the outcome of the investigations. While most of the charges have been thrown out, Floyd Dent still faces possession of cocaine charges, and he has a court date on April the 1st. He was offered a plea deal where he would receive probation for that charge. He refused that deal, saying he will not plead guilty to a crime he did not commit. Kevin Dietz, Defenders. Good evening. A tearful Floyd Dent today talked about the police beating that left him with 4 broken ribs, a fractured orbital, and blood on the brain. And what he wants to know most of all is why haven't any of these police officers been suspended? An early morning protest brought several people to Inkster City Hall demanding a federal investigation into the beating of Floyd Dent, pulled over in Inkster for running a stop sign. Dent is African American. The police officers are white. Inkster's population is around 75% minority. Its police force around 10% minority.
We're not advocating any revenge. We're not advocating a license to loot. We're saying essentially let the system work.
In an afternoon press conference, Dent and his lawyer said they will meet with the city manager and police chief next week. Dent says he wants the officers fired.
I don't think he should have a job at all. I think he should be in jail for what he done.
The officers said they were protecting themselves from Dent, who they say was resisting arrest and biting one of the officers. They say they found cocaine in Dent's car.
I saw him being planted in my car.
A judge looked at the video and threw out the resisting and assault charges against Dent. The cocaine possession charge is still pending.
I'm just getting emotional because what I had to go through and where I'm at now. You know, I can't believe it.
Coming up at 6 o'clock, we're working on this story, another part of the video that police are going to have to answer to. It could take this story and investigation in a whole new direction. That's coming up at 6. Kevin Dietz, Defenders. And says after he was beaten by police officers and while he was sitting in the back of a squad car, he could see a police officer plant evidence in his car. And now his attorney says they have the video to back it up. Take a look. This is the video defense attorneys say is smoking gun evidence that police planted crack cocaine in the car of Floyd Dent, a 57-year-old Inkster man who was tasered, kicked, and punched in the head 16 times by police after being pulled over for running a stop sign. In the video, the officer seen throwing the punches, William Melendez, is seen pulling something from his pocket that looks like a plastic baggie with something inside it. Melendez testified in court. Police found a baggie of crack cocaine under the passenger seat of Dent's car. Greg Roll is Floyd Dent's attorney.
We have on video this officer searching the car and testifying, oh, allegedly I found it under the passenger seat. Of course, my client's fingerprints will not be on that bag. We all know that. And all of a sudden you see RoboCop reaching into his pocket, and you can see him pull out a baggie. And then all of a sudden he's got a baggie of rocks. Where did that come from? Come on.
Officer Melendez was known by citizens in Detroit as RoboCop. He was fired by the Detroit Police Department for falsifying police reports. He was charged for planting evidence in 2003 in a federal court case. A jury found him not guilty. Local attorney Michael Rattay says he is friends with Officer Melendez and supports him.
He's just a good guy. He's a man's man. And I can't say enough good things about him. You know, I don't know the circumstances that he's currently facing, but I would be surprised if he did something that was inappropriate.
In a one-on-one interview, Dent tells me he doesn't do drugs, doesn't sell drugs. A test for drugs following the stop came up negative. Dent has no criminal record.
They treat me like I killed 100 people. Okay? And that's when I knew then this is some type of cover-up, okay? They trying to cover up for what they did. When they looked at my car, they thought I was actually a drug dealer.
Police are not commenting on the video. Melendez was put on desk duty immediately, pending an internal investigation and a Michigan State Police investigation. Floyd Dent is scheduled to be in court next Wednesday. His attorney plans to take this videotape in, show it to the judge, and ask for the drug charges to be dropped. The defenders will be in court, and we'll report back what, if anything, the judge makes of this video and if it's evidence at all. Reporting live in Inkster, Kevin Dietz, Defenders. You know, Floyd Dent was seriously injured. He was bleeding badly from his forehead. The standard procedure would be to have EMS come to the scene and make the call on whether or not to send him him to the hospital. He was asking to go to the hospital, but police made the call, and instead they took him to the police department. And here's the video of what happened there. You're looking at video of Floyd Dent being brought into a jail cell at the Inkster police station, still bloodied and in terrible pain. The exclusive video obtained by the defenders shows Dent wiping blood from his forehead. There is no audio with the video. Dent says he was pleading with officers for medical attention.
I kept telling him, I need to go to the hospital, okay? I begged him, please, call the EMS.
He says the officers refused.
I'm just sitting there, you know, and everybody just looking at me. I mean, like I was a circus clown or something, you know, bleeding like a hog, you know. And then they put me in the jail cell.
Shortly before this video, Floyd Dent was driving his Cadillac through Inkster. He went through a stop sign and was pulled over. The defenders broke the story, showing you this video of Dent being pulled from the car and put in a chokehold, then punched in the head 16 times by Officer William Melendez, who has since been fired from the department. Dent was also kicked and tased 3 times. This is never-before-heard police dispatch audio of the stop.
Who's at South River approaching Inkster, following a tan Cadillac beyond front of the old police station.
Officers alert dispatch they're pulling over Dent's Cadillac. Within seconds, word gets back to dispatch that there's a fight.
He's slowly pulling over.
Copy, slowly pulling over.
The advisor fighting with one.
Copy, fighting with one.
Next, several officers report they're getting out of their squad cars to help.
7-4's out.
Copy.
8-2's out.
Copy.
MSP's responding.
In just 34 seconds from the first call about a fight, officers are told there's no longer a threat.
Slow everybody down.
Copy. Responding units can slow it down.
The video on the street does not show Dent fighting back. A judge rejected the officer's allegations that Dent resisted arrest or assaulted the officer by biting him. Police say they found drugs in Dent's car and hauled him off to the police station. Once inside, Dent was put in a cell and claims police were mocking and humiliating him. Again, there is no audio.
These officers, they just didn't care. And the way they treated me in the police station, I mean, they had me stripped down to my shorts and had me lean up against the wall on the bench on my knees.
As a result of the beating, Dent was suffering from 4 broken ribs, a fractured orbital, and he had blood on his brain. He claims despite asking over and over to go to the hospital, he remained at the police station as police took mugshots and multiple photos to document his injuries.
They treated me like I killed 100 people. And that's when I knew then, this is some type of cover-up, okay? They trying to cover up for what they did.
Dent was taken into a processing room where he sat handcuffed and waited patiently to be fingerprinted. The video shows him cooperating completely, but Dent says they were still treating him as a threat.
I don't know what's wrong with them. To me, it's like they was on drugs. Because the black officer gonna tell me, Mr. Dent, please stop resisting.
He says finally, as he was taken back to his cell, someone realized he needed medical attention immediately.
And I heard somebody in the back there, I think we better get him to the doctor.
That's when EMS was called and Dent was transported to the hospital. Dent and his attorney claim there's more video from inside the police station, that Inkster provided only an edited version. The police department says it complied fully with the court order and has nothing to hide. Dent's attorney is asking that the cocaine charges against Floyd Dent be thrown out. They are also asking that criminal charges be brought against Officer William Melendez. Now, tomorrow at 11 a.m., Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy is holding a press conference where she will address those issues. The defenders will be there, and we will report the latest from that press conference. Reporting live tonight, Kevin Dietz, Defenders. Floyd Dent says he is going to sleep well for the first time since this incident happened. It is now official. All charges have been dropped against him.
People of the state of Michigan versus Floyd Dent, here today for a doctor conference.
Floyd Dent happily stood before Judge David Groner today as all charges against him were dismissed.
The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office believes that there is not sufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Dent committed the crime he's charged with. As such, we move to dismiss this case.
Dent was originally charged following this violent traffic stop with assault, resisting arrest, and cocaine possession charges. After prosecutors and a judge reviewed the video, all charges were dismissed. The Dent family celebrating outside in the hallway.
I was really overwhelmed that the system did work this time and justice was served.
Talking to you and you bringing this whole story out, I appreciate it a whole lot. And you know, I think about you every day and what you've done. That's right. And I'm happy.
This is an excellent day for Floyd Dent. I think it's an excellent day for the system, the judicial system, and let's just see what happens to poor Mr. Melendez now.
It was a defender investigation that brought the police beating video to light. The man seen on video punching Dent is William Melendez. He has been fired from the Inkster Police Department and is now charged with assault and misconduct in office.
It's turned to sit behind them bars the way I did and think real hard what he did to me.
William Melendez is scheduled to be in court for a preliminary exam on May the 6th. Floyd Dent will be a witness in his case. He says he's looking forward to testifying against the former police officer. Kevin Dietz, Defenders. Well, William Melendez has filed a grievance. He says he wants his job back. He says he wasn't fired for what we all saw out on the street that night. He says he was fired because of our defender investigation, showing it to the public, and some politicians in Inkster getting nervous about it. Officer William Melendez would not answer his door in Novi this morning when reporter Sean Lay knocked. Across town, his union rep was willing to talk, saying Melendez is a victim of the media and politics.
This happened in January. A report was filed by an officer and all of officers involved, reviewed by the supervisor, and nothing was found. So as far as we knew, he was found that he didn't violate anything.
Saying William Melendez wasn't fired for his actions, but because our Local 4 Defenders investigation that showed Melendez hitting Floyd Dent 16 times in the head after a traffic stop.
When that videotape hit the airwaves, then all of a sudden it was a big issue. And we were told yesterday that the investigation that we thought was completed in January is still in progress. Right after they said that, they issued Officer Melendez his discharge papers.
Inkster Police Chief telling us today, quote, "The Inkster Police Department internal investigation is not now, nor has it ever been completed. Other than that, the Inkster Police Department does not comment on personnel matters." Melendez, through his union, says after our video aired, residents started holding protest marches in Inkster and called for Melendez to be fired. He says city politicians got nervous and the city manager, not the police chief, fired Melendez.
That's why I think it's more political than anything else.
And listen to this. After the investigation ran, Melendez was put on desk duty, we all heard. Melendez now says that for the 5 weeks before that, he was back on the street as if nothing had happened, as if nothing went wrong. He was only put on desk duty after our defender's story ran. And after the incident, he was sent away to training so that he could learn how to train other officers in Inkster. His union rep says, why would they do that if they were planning on firing him? So a lot more to investigate. Michigan State Police are investigating, and the feds are also investigating. We'll stay on top of it. Reporting live in Detroit, Kevin Dietz, Defenders. That's right. Those investigating this case in Inkster should have known immediately that the actions of Officer William Melendez might have been criminal. The proper thing to do would be to get a hold of the prosecutor and ask their advice on how to proceed, but that's not what happened in Inkster. In Inkster, they put Officer Melendez right back out on the streets, and they never said a word to anyone until the story broke on Local 4. William Melendez says this police beating of Floyd Dent was justified. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy says it is criminal. Today, charging Officer William Melendez with assault to commit great bodily harm and misconduct.
In my view, police brutality and police misconduct do three things. It erodes trust and the public's confidence in law enforcement.
Prosecutor Worthy making it clear that Inkster police were not forthcoming with information, saying they never even told her about the video. She first saw it on our Local 4 News Defender investigation.
We found out about it, as many of you did, from the news reports from WDIV reporter Kevin Dietz.
Floyd Dent was brought to tears when he heard that charges against him will be dropped. He is now a free man. The cocaine possession charges are over.
my heart felt so warm, and I was so joyful and in tears and happy, you know, that all this is over.
Kim Worthy says without the video going public, we may have never even known. Officer Melendez might still be working on the streets, and Floyd Dent may have gone to jail. No comment at all from the Inkster Police Department on why they did not choose to get the prosecutor's office involved. And we did reach out to William Melendez's attorney today. He says that he will be there for the arraignment of Officer Melendez when it is scheduled, and he is asking for everyone to keep an open mind until all of the evidence plays out. Reporting live in Detroit, Kevin Dietz, Defenders. Prosecutors say William Melendez abused his power. He was a police officer who stopped Floyd Dent for running a stop sign and then beat him, punched him 16 times in the head for no reason at all. And in the end, the jury agreed. It took less than 4 hours for jurors to decide the fate of fired police officer William Melendez. His freedom on the line, he listened to the verdict.
As to count 2, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, complainant Floyd Dent.
Guilty.
As to count 3, misconduct in office.
Guilty.
Guilty on 2 counts, acquitted on a strangulation charge. Then the judge delivered another blow to Melendez, revoking his bond and sending him straight to jail.
At this time, the court is going to remand the defendant to the Wayne County Jail on a revoked bond.
The decision did not sit well with Melendez's wife, Karen, who stormed out of the courtroom. That is, until the judge ordered her back.
Now, don't say anything. Why would you storm out my... Don't do my courtroom like that.
Melendez convicted of assault and misconduct for punching motorist Floyd Dent in the head 16 times following a traffic stop in Inkster. Prosecutors said Melendez beat a defenseless man who was not resisting arrest. The jurors watched the video and agreed. Melendez can be sentenced to anything from probation to up to 10 years in prison. So now Officer Melendez is inmate Melendez, and on December 3rd, he'll find out from that same judge, Vonda Evans, how long he will spend in jail for assault with intent to do great bodily harm and misconduct in office. We have much more reaction to this story coming up at 6 o'clock here on Local 4. Kevin Dietz, Defenders. Good evening. We're talking about a lot of money, especially for a cash-strapped city like Inkster. But rather than take their chances in court with a jury, the city decided to pay Floyd Dent over $1 million. With this stroke of a pen, Floyd Dent is a millionaire. His settlement, just under $1.4 million. It puts an end to any civil case against the city of Inkster.
The video is graphic and pretty tough to watch.
The Defenders broke the story, showing you this violent video of police officers punching, kicking, and tasing Floyd Dent after a traffic stop.
I never expect out of officers to do that. You know, it's amazing.
Weeks later, the Defenders uncovered a second video of police apparently imitating and mocking Dent at the police station before taking him to a hospital.
I'm sitting there bleeding and begging for a doctor, and they said, no, they're joking. You know, high-fiving each other. I mean, that is unreal, Kevin.
If you give Floyd Dent the choice, he would rather be broke and never have had this happen.
Money is not everything, yeah. Can't buy happiness.
But the beating did happen, and Dent says he hopes something good will come from it. A new beginning in Inkster.
The city of Inkster needs to move on and to service the great citizens of Inkster.
Assault and drug charges against Floyd Dent have been dropped. New assault charges have been filed against William Melendez, who punched Dent 16 times in the head. Inkster has a new police chief. 2 officers were suspended. Now a 7-figure settlement. A strong message has been sent.
Nothing like this will ever happen again in Inkster. Never. All the things that they've been going through, and all the things that I went through.
Greg Roll is Floyd Dent's attorney. He says the city stepped up to do the right thing for Floyd Dent and for the future of Inkster.
But at least some good can come about because of it. And you know, Floyd's proud of being, you know, that person that brought about the change.
As for becoming a millionaire,
a lot of people ring my doorbell, you know, long lost friends. And
it may bring out friends and relatives, but it won't change Floyd Dent.
Do you have any plans for the money?
No, not really. I'm going back to work. You know, I miss work. I miss the people I work with. And everything. So I'm going back to work.
He misses his friends at Ford Motor Company and is anxious to get back to work. He believes that the video never came out, never went public, he would be the one going to jail, and Bill Melendez would still be working on the police force. He knows his time in the spotlight is coming to an end. He hopes to be forgotten and remembered.
I want people to remember me as a honest person, a person who told the truth, a person who wasn't scared to go against the officers that done this to me. And I want people to know that I'm grateful.
He's grateful to the people who believed in him and the people who stood by him when he refused to plead guilty to a crime he says he did not commit. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.